The night before Hugo Torres's funeral, a cheetah escaped its enclosure at the Bronx Zoo and devoured a warthog. Had the victim been a more charming animal, say a koala or a monkey, perhaps there would have been some level of outrage directed at the cheetah. But, as it was, the whispers among the mourners assembled in the cathedral on Park Avenue the next morning were a sympathy not for the warthog, but for the cheetah. After all, cheetahs were predators, not meant for a life in captivity. The cat had only done what it was born to do. The turnout for the memorial service was impressive. The church packed to the gills with Manhattan's finest, decked in their best bereavement attire, rendered ant-like by the towering stone pillars and soaring vaulted ceiling. Diamonds glittered on beds of black lace as mourners craned their necks to get a glimpse of the mahogany casket, their morbid curiosity stifled by the closed lid draped in more roses than a Kentucky Derby winner. The invitation had said 9:30, but it wasn't until the church bell struck 10 that the family stepped through the massive doors, ushered inside by a gust of bitingly cold wind that chilled the back third of the church. Everyone turned to watch the spectacle, carefully concealing their fascination as the solemn group proceeded up the marble nave. First in line was the third and current wife, Melody, a waxy-looking French-Canadian of 50, who had a frigid personality and a frosty relationship with her husband's exes and their children. Her bone-thin frame was draped in black wool and ivory-colored pearls. The hand of the 6-year-old son she shared with Papa Hugo gripped tightly in hers. Everyone murmured how awful it was for the poor boy to lose his father at such a young age. But such were the risks of a May-December romance. It's fair to say the congregation was universally disappointed that the crazy second wife wasn't in attendance. Of course, they knew it wasn't okay to call people who had been institutionalized for mental illness crazy. Could you even say that word anymore? But privately, that was what they thought of her. In her day, Caroline had been a talented painter, not to mention very beautiful, with a habit of flirting with husbands who didn't belong to her. Now she lived in a sanatorium in Switzerland, like it was the 19th century or something, neatly packed away for unbecoming behavior. Her daughter Gia was just as stunning as her mother had been, and just as much trouble, elite circles would say. She was a staple of the society pages, flitting from boyfriend to boyfriend between various creative endeavors that included a salacious but surprisingly well-written memoir and a perfume she loved too much to sell to the public. Today, she was wearing a skin-tight black satin dress with long sleeves and a completely open back, her eyes hidden by giant black sunglasses, her long brunette locks gathered into a bun at the nape of her neck, clutching the arm of her brother, Benicio. Benny had wavy dark hair like his sister's, almost long enough on top to tuck behind his ears, and they both shared their father's deep-set eyes and olive skin, and their mother's artistic sensibilities. The mothers in the crowd registered Benny's bare ring finger and pinched their eligible daughters, who blushed, but for once didn't protest. Sadly, ever since Benny's first screenplay was turned into a runaway hit film, he was perpetually accompanied by some actress or other. And to the chagrin of all the mothers, his current girlfriend, the star of a television show about witches, would be stapled to his side by the time he reached the reception. Notably missing were the British first wife and the 3 grown children she shared with the deceased. It was no secret that she regarded Americans as gauche and had elected to hold a competing memorial service in London, which was, ironically, rather gauche. When the family reached the first row, Melody allowed Gia and Benny to sit first, then took her place at the end of the pew, leaving a discernible gap between herself and her stepchildren. Gia's best friend Abby, the daughter of the family's former chef, leaned forward from the second row and put her hand on Gia's shoulder. Thanks to Papa Hugo's generosity, Abby had gone to boarding school with Gia and the daughters and sons of many in the congregation. She was petite and reserved, pleasant-looking, but not gorgeous, an unobtrusive interloper in their rarefied circles. And though she was better turned out than she had been in high school, her mousy hair, now a smart, shoulder-length blonde, her glasses replaced by contacts that revealed large green eyes. Her middle-class clothes and bearing would have rendered her nearly invisible to this set, were her face at 18 not burned into their minds.